I say you are listening to, you are absolutely listening to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm. Now, with no further ado, here comes Georgie!
All righty. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, my goodness gracious sakes alive, Aunt Sally. Hey, everybody, it is, what is today? Thursday. I asked somebody else earlier what day it was. I can't keep track of the days. Anyhow, it is Thursday night. It is 8 o'clock p.m. on the East Coast. I want to say hello to my people out there on the West Coast where it's 5 o'clock and everybody in between. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for taking the time to tune in to the George Espenlaub Show tonight. So whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, thank you. Thank you from me and all of us here at the Funny Farm. We got a great show planned for you tonight. What we are doing is we are going to play the audio portion of our live stream show that we did yesterday with Sheq Lacey. What a tremendous story. Incredible. I know, I know that you will be just as thrilled to hear this tonight as we were yesterday to do the live stream show. It was fantastic. And I'll bring you back in just a minute, and we'll get right into that. But first of all, we've got to take a news break.
This is American Family News. I'm Steve Jordahl. Passengers aboard 2 cruise ships that have had coronavirus cases and deaths have been given the green light to disembark at a Florida port. Broward County Commissioner Michael Udine said Thursday that an agreement had been reached between local, state, and federal officials and Carnival Corporation, which owns the Zaandam and the Rotterdam. The 2 ships are docked in Port Everglades. The cruise line Holland America is operating the ships. Holland America says 45 passengers who are mildly sick will stay on board until they recover, but that 10 people in more serious condition are to be taken to a Fort Lauderdale hospital for immediate medical care. The surge on hospitals in New York City is changing emergency protocols. Fox's David Lee Miller has more from the Big Apple.
In his daily briefing, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said based on what he called the current burn rate, the state only has a 6-day supply of ventilators. The governor also put out an urgent call for New York businesses to manufacture gloves, gowns, and other personal protection equipment. With the healthcare system overwhelmed, New York City ambulance crews have been told not to bring people suffering cardiac arrest to hospitals if the patient's heart can't be restarted on the scene. A memo to EMTs from an umbrella group that coordinates emergency services said in part, emergency departments are severely overcrowded and transporting patients pronounced dead on the scene only increases ED workload and potentially exposes ED staff and patients to COVID-19. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
A Florida man has stepped forward at an abortion clinic because the governor's orders are not being followed. AFN's Charlie Butts has the story.
Ex-Marine Chris Dosev of Pensacola, Florida, became concerned knowing an edict had been issued ordering elimination of non-essential surgeries. In response, he parked his vehicle to block traffic into American Family Planning, a local abortion vendor, and he spoke to pro-life counselors at the scene.
I've taken the liberty to block its entrance with my vehicle so that they will comply with Governor DeSantis' orders that requires non-essential medical procedures be off limits until the coronavirus outbreak has been controlled. And in addition to that, Executive Order number 2082 that demands that people coming in from Louisiana be quarantined for 14 days.
Louisiana has seen a dramatic uptick in coronavirus diagnoses. Police asked customers to park elsewhere and walk to the clinic to abort their children, and pro-life counselors discovered many of the vehicles bore Louisiana license plates. but the governor's order was not being enforced. Another thought.
We suspect that maybe some of the doctors providing those services here in this building are from out of town, particularly from New York, and they also should be quarantined for 14 days.
Operation Rescue did some checking and discovered the clinic is owned by Stephen Chase Brigham, who has lost his medical license in a half dozen states. And Florida is one of them. I'm Charlie Buck.
There are new concerns. Some small businesses will miss out on federal loan programs intended to help mom and pops survive. Fox's Jared Halpern has more.
Included in the $2 trillion economic rescue bill is a nearly $350 billion loan program to help small businesses make payroll during stay-at-home orders and non-essential business closures. But far more than small retailers will qualify, including hotel and restaurant chains operating as franchises. Such large demand means the $350 billion fund could be exhausted in short order once applications open Friday. The program gives businesses access to loans of more than twice their monthly payroll and are fully or partially forgiven if the money is used to retain or rehire employees through June. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
More than 6.6 million Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week, doubling a record high set just 1 week earlier. A sign layoffs are accelerating in the midst of the coronavirus, but despite the massive unemployment numbers, the markets were in a good mood on Thursday. That after oil-producing nations agreed to end glutting the world with crude. The Dow gained 470 points, the Nasdaq gave investors 127, and the S&P 500 rose 56.5 points. For American Family News, I'm Steve Jordahl.
All righty, we're back. And once again, thank you for tuning in to the George Espenlaub Show, coming to you live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. You know we have two goals here. One is to bring a smile to your face. We live in troubled times right now, and if we can just bring a smile to your face, we'll be happy. If we can make you laugh, we'll get real excited. The other goal is just to make you as goofy as the rest of us. Just two plain, simple goals that we try to accomplish every time we go on the air. I'm going to take you into our show that we aired live yesterday by the way of live stream with a tremendous guest. Sheq Lacey will tell her story, and she will share with us her unconditional love. It is a fascinating story. She'll share with us her goals and her dreams and what's going on in her life right now. So I encourage you to sit back and listen very carefully, because there are a lot of moving parts in this show. Ladies and gentlemen, Sheq Lacey, Jakob, and me. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen. Thank you for tuning in to the George Espenlaub Show this morning. It's 9:30 a.m. here on the East Coast. Our friends out on the West Coast are probably just now beginning to stir, or maybe they've been stirring for a little while. But nonetheless, welcome. We invite you to come in, participate, throw your comments up there, ask your questions. And there is the young lady of the hour or the minute, whatever we want to say. There is Miss Lacey. And before we go any further, ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, we have to bring our most spectacular, hard-working, I mean, he really gets down and gets it done. We got to bring Dude on here so he can earn his keep and his 30 seconds of popularity. Ladies and gentlemen, here is Dude. And there he was, 30 seconds. That's all he works. Miss Lacey, it's great to have you this morning.
Thank you for having me.
And there is my friend, my partner in, I don't want to say crime, my partner.
Well, I don't know if that sounds right nowadays either.
No, that don't sound right either. There is Mr. Ed Temple out of Columbus, Ohio. Miss Lacey, she's also out of Columbus, Ohio. And it's just a delight to have each and every one of you guys here on screen, and all of you that are watching and that will watch in the future. Thank you. We have an exciting show. This young lady is getting it done, for lack of a better term. So, Miss Lacey, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, some of your young life, and bring us up to this point.
Okay, so I'm from Columbus, Ohio, and my younger life, I graduated from Lyndon McKinley High School. Mr. Temple was my ninth grade history teacher, and I fast forward a few years to life now. I have two children, a 10-year-old and a 1-year-old, and my 1-year-old was diagnosed with a rare form of dwarfism called thanatophoric skeletal dysplasia, which led me on my journey that I'm on now.
So you're saying that this child of yours is a blessing?
He is a huge blessing. My life literally changed once my pregnancy with him, because it touched on my faith, because I was told to basically terminate him due to his health condition.
I was getting ready to ask you that, whether they asked you to do that. Did that change your perspective on that whole, let's say, movement?
Which movement?
Well, the movement of the pro-choice movement. Did that affect you at all?
Honestly, it really didn't. And I think at the time when you're in a situation such as that, I was just thinking about myself, because they told me I had 2 weeks to come up with a decision, to make that decision. And it wasn't even a thought for me. I'm like, no, if he, I would be giving up on him, not giving him a fighting chance. So it wasn't even a option. I didn't think about pro-life. I thought about the baby who I've been feeling move inside of me, because I'm 20 weeks at this point. For somebody to tell me to terminate him was just not, it wasn't an option for me.
Wow.
Yeah, I empathize with you. We had, as you know, we have twins, but we really had triplets. One of them, they were trying to tell us we were going to have to pick which one didn't get to make it. And so it just so happened that one of them didn't make it anyway. But we weren't going to make that decision either. That's crazy.
It is.
I just wonder, Ed and Miss Lacey, I just wonder, and I'm sure you have too, along with millions of other people, I just wonder how many ministers, scientists, teachers, writers, so on and so forth, have literally been destroyed over the years by the act of abortion. I commend you, and I mean, my hat is off to you. When someone, we hear about it, we read about it, but it was in your face. You've got to make a decision. And apparently you didn't even hesitate. I mean, it was a no from the word go, right?
It was. And the crazy part about all of that is, even once I said yes, the doctor still, every appointment, I had to see him once a week or every other week. And he still kept telling me, it's not going to look good for him. He tried to convince me to do basically like a baby hospice for him, that they would put morphine patches on his cheeks and just let him pass away. he never gave me the option of extreme measures and Jacoby getting on a ventilator and having a breathing tube. I didn't even know that was possible until I did my own research. So ultimately, I ended up reporting that doctor, and I got a new doctor.
Wow.
That's funny. It's not funny you say that. We were asked when the babies were first born. My wife said, "Can I hold the baby? Can I hold the baby?" And the nurse callously said, "You can hold it because it's probably not going to live anyway."
Wow.
And so, yeah, so it's needless to say, we switched hospitals immediately.
Wow. Ed, that has seeing Miss Lacey on the screen and conversing with her and seeing where she's at today, that has to give you a very warm, fuzzy feeling inside.
My words too. But for sure, she went to a pretty. It was Linda McKinley is at the time and still is basically disproportionately has some of the financially worse off students in the state, and the results there said as much. But when I say results, I mean the kids are constantly. If you listen to news around Columbus, the Linda McKinley area has a shooting or a death on a weekly basis, if not multiple, more than one per week. I should know. I lived there during the school year, probably 2 or 3 days a week, sometimes 4 or 5 days during the week, and there's constantly police helicopters and shootings, and so it's a tough situation for someone to come out of there successful. Which, by the way, we have quite a few. We have people from doctors, lawyers, and teachers, and we have authors. But the point is, if they can survive and do and thrive, it tells you a lot about their character. So here's a situation where you have someone with strong enough character that says, you know what, even after all society is telling you to abort kids for no good reason, even a perfectly healthy kid, so you can, because we don't want you to be saddled with a child, we want you to just live free until whenever. Here's a situation where I would imagine the vast majority of women would have said, you know what, I'm not going to have this child. I'll let the doctor be my advisor. But it goes a testament to her character. She went through a tough situation in that school environment. That school, let's be honest, it was dangerous. I mean, seriously, it's there was when kids would get into a fight there, a lot of times it spilled out into the street, and then you always worried about if there was going to be some type of retaliation, because there's such a strong gang influence. I don't know that there weren't too many kids that were there that weren't affiliated in one way or another, even if it was loosely with some type of gang or something like that. And so the fact is, it is really cool to see kids that have made it, because a lot of them, they were victims of circumstance. They weren't bad kids. They were just in a bad situation. And a lot of the teachers weren't used to it and couldn't, it wasn't their cup of tea. They were there. They would be there just long enough to leave the school. They'd be there a couple of years and like, all right, we're out of here. This is too much. And so, fact is, it's funny because Sheq, as well as she's not totally alone. There's a few that were in the like. There's a window of time. I was there for close to 20 years, and a window of time where she was there in a couple classes, plus or minus 1 or 2 years, for whatever reason. Partly probably because of the principal at the time. Who was your principal? Was it Jenkins?
We had Mr. Jenkins, but
Yeah.
I graduated with Mr. Arrington.
Yeah, so Mr. Jenkins was very good about making the kids, giving the kids a lot more opportunities than normal. And so those years where Mr. Jenkins was there was not that I'm totally in for Mr. Jenkins, because he had his flaws, but in terms of recruiting kids that wanted to be there and giving them the opportunities, that just goes to show you that if you just give kids the right opportunities and have them the right mentality, they don't even sometimes know they're in this situation, until they leave and they're like, wait a minute, was I going through that school with all that stuff going on?
And it's funny that you say that too, Mr. Temple, because when I like people around and they're like, oh, what school did you go to?
Exactly.
And I'm like, Linden. And they're like, what? You went to Linden? But I grew up in the Linden area. Like, that will always be home. Like, yes, it's the hood. It's it's a lot that goes on. But Linden, we have some wonderful people who have come out of there and who are still coming. It's just like he said, it's based on the circumstances, and you can become a product of your environment and you can choose not to. Me, I always knew I wanted better. I knew that from, as a little kid, my mom says it all the time. Like, I just knew I wanted more. So, yes, coming out of the Linden area actually humbled me and made me the person that I am, because I know the struggle. I know what it's like. And even with doing this in the book, I want other kids in the Linden area to know the things that are possible. And I just want to put light on that.
Here is, excuse me, here is Sheq's webpage. And this is where you can get the book. In just a little while, I'm going to put the website up so everyone can see it. Jacoby and Me, an inspiring story. So we built the foundation. I'm just so elated that you took your stand and you said, no, indeedy, I'm going to have this baby. I'm going to raise this baby. God's going to help me. God's going to bless me. Did your faith play a big part in this?
Oh, a huge part. A huge part. I read scripture to Jacoby every day when he was in my belly. I told him every day you will live and not die, every single day. Every day. I think it's a Matthew verse. I forgot. I read that to him every day, that he should prosper. Like, God's plan for him is much more and bigger. And yes, without faith, I don't think that I would have been able to do it. But I always see the bigger picture. And I just knew, like, my baby is going to be fine. The day I had him, I had to get a C-section because he was breech. But I had a calming over me. And I know that it was God. Like, I was calm. I wasn't scared. I didn't feel anxious. I was.
Peace that passes all understanding?
Huh?
The peace that passes all understanding, that's the peace you felt?
Yes.
Okay.
Just peace. Just peace. I didn't feel anxious. I wasn't. The doctor saying, they told me that he wouldn't be strong enough to cry because with his dwarfism, and the reason he's on a ventilator is because his lungs are very small. So they're not able to expand like ours and take those deep breaths. So they were like, he won't be able to cry. He won't be strong enough. And my baby came out screaming loud. So Jacoby's story is a story of hope, faith, and love. And I feel like it is my job, and as a Christian, something that I'm supposed to do, that God put me here to do. A lot of times people question, what am I here for? What am I supposed to do? It may have looked different if Jacoby would have came out the average baby, but that's not what God had planned for me. What he had planned for me was to give other families hope. Even if their situation isn't similar to mine, my testimony, I know, can help people get through things, because my son was in the hospital for 6 months of his life. He was there half of his life. He's coming up on 7 months of being home, which is longer than being in the hospital. And that's a huge accomplishment.
I got goosebumps. Wow. It just goes to show that God can take what is ordinary to man and turn it into an extraordinary event. He still, regardless of what the agnostics say and the atheists say and the anti-God people say, he's still high and lifted up. And there is no other higher than him. You have just, number one, you've inspired me already Number two, you have just made my day complete. I'll walk 3 inches above the ground for the rest of the day, and I'll rehearse this over and over and over in my mind. The things that you have already said, tremendous, tremendous. I mean, it is tremendous. Your thoughts, Ed?
I was saying that I hope that we can get her hooked up with some, the James Dobsons and so on. So, is this self-published?
Yes,
So,
I
so you own the rights to
self-published.
it? I was going
Yes.
to say, well, that's good news because then, someone like a James Dobson or something like that, they could pick it up and publish it themselves because it's your book. But I would go back and say that, when did you when did you write the book? And then with respect to that, how long have you, or let's just talk about that first. When did you write the book?
So I started the book. Jacoby was still in the hospital. So I started like brainstorming in June of 2019. And I'm like, I think I want to write a book. I didn't know the angle that I wanted to do it, but Jacoby loves being read to. Like he zooms in, he loves pictures, he loves all of that. So that's where I got the idea of writing a children's book. And then the process of writing it, and of course, when I self-published, I spent all of my money on it. So, altogether, I would say it took about a good solid 6 months for everything to be completed.
Were you? Well, go ahead, Ed.
No, I was going to say that it's taking about 6 months to complete. Who was your the person that did your drawing?
So the person who did my drawing is a good friend of mine. Her name is Andres Levon, and she's an artist, but I seen that she had done an illustration before. So my book was her second book illustrating, and she did amazing. I can't wait for you to get your book, Mr. Temple. Like it's awesome. Like it looks so good.
Yeah, well, it got my attention. I can tell you that. Matter of fact, I'm going to try to pull it up here in a second here, George.
Let me share this screen with everyone, and I'll show you this. Let me hit these right buttons here.
How many pages is the book?
So the book is about it's like 40, it's 40 pages, but that's because it's pictures on the opposite pages. So it's words on one side, pictures on the other.
Okay.
There is Sheq's webpage, jacobyandmebook.com, and there is the artistry that she was talking about. I was looking at. I have, in fact, I'd look at it, and then I'd think, let me look at that again. I'd go back and look at it. I must have looked at it 4 or 5 different times, and I thought that is really cool because I'll scroll down here in a minute, and you can see some other pictures. She did a fine job because the resemblance between the actual pictures and the artwork. It's amazing.
And I thought it was very important to show. I didn't see any books. Jacoby has a trach. He's hooked up to a ventilator. And I just wanted to make sure that other kids who have trachs can see themselves on the cover. And it just so happens that, I also have brown boys, which makes it even just another level of different. I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, the person that did that.
It's amazing.
Sheq, what is who is your audience?
So my audience is honestly, so I wanted it to be a children's book. And I feel like with Jacoby being young and Amir being 10, it can be honestly from newborn to, I would say, about 5th grade-ish. And my audience, as far as the people, it's a teaching book as well. So it's kind of hard to pinpoint. And every time I think about, I can't say it's for everybody because it isn't. It is a family book. It is a book explaining something. we have a lot of kids in our family. So we talk about Jacoby's condition in the book in a very simple way. So I would say that my audience is more for family. And I don't think that you have to have special needs to get this book, because it's also a book of hope. It's a mirror. It's from Amir's perspective. So Amir is the one explaining everything in his feelings going through the process of having a brother with special needs.
I was going to say that I was going to ask you about Amir. So Amir looks like he's definitely kind of filling in a role. What is his role?
Amir is an excellent big brother. He was the only child for 9 years, so of course he was spoiled. But he came in with Jacoby having this condition as, I mean, it's amazing, honestly. He takes care of Jacoby like I take care of Jacoby. When Jacoby cries, he knows how to soothe him. He knows how to make him stop. Jacoby has a feeding tube. Amir knows how to start his feeds, and we have to suction him and suction his nose. Amir, I mean, he's great. His role is very big. I work 10 hours a day, and Amir watches him if I'm doing something.
With the condition of your child, which I wouldn't try to pronounce the name of the condition no more than I would your real first name, because I never did get it then, and I'm not going to figure it out now. But what's his prospects? Is he going to live, into his 80s or 90s or 60s or 70s? What are they saying? Because not to say we have to believe what they're saying. Believe that.
Right. Well, honestly, it's kind of hard to say, because Nationwide Children's Hospital is amazing, have wonderful doctors, got my baby home. But we did have a specific doctor who said Jacoby would only last 2 weeks. Like, he gave Jacoby 2 weeks, legit. So even with that, it's kind of hard to say. The oldest child that lived with we can just say TD for short, he was 20 years old, but he was born in the 80s. So to me, the way that I look at it, and for what I'm trying to do for my son, science is developing every single day.
Yes.
And everything is different. The ventilators are developing every day. And it's not even that Jacoby will need a vent for the rest of his life. He may still need his trach as an open airway, but it's really hard to say what his time span looks like. There is a 14-year-old that lives in Florida. And then there's a 9-year-old family that I'm really close to who lives in Virginia. And Jacoby is different from each one of them. So I can't really say how long he will live. When somebody tells you your child will pass away in utero and then they make it to delivery, then they will pass away in 2 weeks, and now he's 14 months. So, I mean, the way that I look at it, every day is a gift with Jacoby, because God gave us favor. So as long as I've had with him, that's what I try to focus on, because nobody's life is promised with a health condition or not. So I just go with it.
Wow.
How'd you come up with the name Jacoby?
His dad was very choosy on his name. And I was just on social media and I seen his name. I spelled it differently than I seen it, but his dad's name starts with a J, and his dad's favorite basketball player was Kobe Bryant. So when I told him Jacoby, he only calls Jacoby Kobe. He doesn't even call him Jacoby. So it just all happened to work out.
Kobe lives on.
Yes, he does.
Sheq, what is Jacoby's disposition? I mean, is he usually happy, laid back?
Oh my goodness. Jacoby he's honestly super chill. He only cries when he needs his diaper changed, or he watches this show on Netflix, and if it goes off, he yells for you to cut it back on. He's very smart, very, very smart. And that was another thing that they were saying about him. He would have development issues as far as mental and cognitively. But Jacoby, is very he's very smart. He does everything a 14-month-old does cognitively. He just can't crawl, and of course we're working on his head control. But with his body being proportioned the way it is, and his head is, large, it's kind of hard to get that balance. But he does hold his head up.
Wow. So he's chilled out. Biggest part of the.
Oh, he's really laid back. Jacoby, he's a laid back kid. He's so funny. He has so much personality. If he doesn't like something, he tells you no. If he doesn't want to do it, he will shake his head no. If he does this thing where he raises his eyebrows up like, yes, he's excited to do it.
And did you, can you go back and I wanted to hear this again. Maybe people need to hear this. So the doctor is telling you shouldn't have this baby. And what'd you do about that, doctor?
Oh, I reported him because he was too negative, and I just didn't need that type of energy in my space. I even reported the doctor at Children's who gave him 2 weeks because it was 2 months down the line, and the doctor came, and this is the same doctor that said Jacoby would only make it 2 weeks. So I first off, Jacoby had an incident where he had a tube that was in his mouth going down, and it came out, and he tried to get me to sign a DNR because he told me that if they had to give Jacoby CPR, he would be dead anyways. So it wouldn't make sense for them to give him that type of trauma. I said, absolutely not. And I kind of went off on him and was just like, he was like, well, if this happens. And I said, well, did it happen? He said, no. I said, well, if it didn't happen, then there's no reason for us to sit here and talk about it. Right. And he walked out of the room with an attitude. 2 months later, he was Jacoby's doctor on rounds for a weekend. And he didn't address me. He never stepped in my son's room. He didn't listen to me because he was wrong. He was a very cocky doctor. I reported him, and I never seen him again.
Wow.
Wow, that's definitely not a doctor I would want.
What happened? What happened to that? What's it called? The Hippocrates oath.
Yeah.
I guess they chunked that part out the window. I guess.
Oh yeah. I have to fight for my son though, because his condition is very rare. And at the time, like everybody was telling me, oh, you're such a good advocate. I wasn't even looking at it like that. I was literally just trying to get my son home. I've seen Jacoby close to death too many times. Like, honestly, mentally, that can mess anybody up. He'll stop breathing. I mean, it's been a number of times where I thought that I was losing my son. But he's here. He's here.
When you say this is a very rare disease or a very rare
diagnosis,
what are the numbers involved with that?
It's like 1 in 50,000.
Wow.
And it's only 13 children living with it in the United States, and he's one of 13. That's how rare it is. And most people honestly, they do decide to term their children, and it's no judgment. Some people don't feel like, I've even had people on his Instagram say the quality of his life is horrible and they wouldn't put their child through that and all of this other stuff. But until you're in a situation, you can't say what you wouldn't do. My son is very happy. Just because he's on a ventilator doesn't mean his quality of life is poor. Before this virus came, my son was outside. We went to parks. We went on walks. We went to cookouts, family events. We did all of that. He's not missing out on anything when it comes to life. So just because somebody needs help, that's just like somebody who has asthma. Just because they need an inhaler, is their quality of life horrible? No, they just need extra help. And that's the same thing with Jacoby.
God didn't want him to be alive. He wouldn't be.
He wouldn't. And his nurse said that in the hospital. His nurse said, I've seen kids on a ventilator and still not make it. He wants to be here. He's fighting to be here. He's supposed to be here.
Yeah, but there was a situation when we were in the NICU, and there was a baby that somebody must have been talked into by the doctors to that he wasn't worth keeping because they just let him there. And as he's struggling and fighting for his life, no one ever checked up on him, and he died with nobody advocating for his life. They didn't try to resuscitate him. Nothing. A terrible way to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you to do something. And, you know, the anti-God, the agnostics and so on and so forth, you're just going to have to step to the side here. And if it offends you by what I'm going to say, I'm not politically correct anyhow. But ladies and gentlemen, here's a call to action. Would you say, Sheq, there's 13 children like this in the United States?
Yes.
Here's what I want to challenge you to do. I'm a firm believer. I know Ed is. I know Sheq is. I'm a firm believer that God answers prayer. He's still a miracle worker.
Yes.
And I want to challenge you, to those that are watching now and to those that will watch as this video goes up. I want to challenge you, nationwide, worldwide. I want you to lift this little guy's name up in prayer and the other children that are sick. Jacoby, I challenge you. Let's start a prayer chain. Let's grip the horns of the altar and not let go, because I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer that he's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And just as he had his hand on this young fella from the beginning, when he was in his mother's womb, he still has his hand on him today. Doctor said, count him out. Let's forget it. Walk away. But God will have the final say. I challenge every man, woman, and child that knows how to pray and seek the face of God to lift this little guy up and all the others that's across this nation, regardless of where they are. And let's believe God for a miracle. I'm all about the power of God. And I challenge you. I really challenge you. Don't just say, I will pray, but you get there and you find a place to pray. Get by yourself and you get a hold of the horns of those altars and don't let go. And when we get the results, we're going to have Sheq come back and possibly other families also that God has moved upon the scene. And, yep, there's a song we used to sing, He'll Do It Again. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that song, but He'll do it again. This didn't take Him by surprise. This don't have Him upset. He has a plan. He has a plan. And I challenge you, near, far, and wide, to go to prayer for this little guy and other little people just like him. And let's just see what God will do. Well, Sheq, this book, let me put the art. Yeah, I'll get it. I told you, Sheq, I can tear up the English language. So I create Espenlaub words and phrases. Some people get it, some people don't. There is Jacoby and me. Jacoby and me. That big brother, he has to be an awesome young man. And God has to have his hand on him too, right?
He definitely.
This is where you can get the book. JacobyandMeBook.com. JacobyandMeBook.com. Is that the best place to get it, right here?
Yes.
And there it is, $24.99. I believe it's a book for everyone. And as Sheq has already said, not only for those that have special need children, I believe that it can be an inspiration and a testimony for each and every one of us. And, you know, guys, Ed and Sheq, with what we're going through as a nation, right now in these troubled times, things like this is needed. And especially, ladies and gentlemen, now that we're locked up, locked down, shut in, whatever you want to call it, now would be a great time to get this book, sit down, and then read it. So, man, we need this kind of inspiration, not only because we're going through some rough times, but we just need this information, period. Ed, your thoughts?
Oh, my thoughts are, I can't wait to get my copy. I'll be reading it real soon here and looking forward to it. It's an inspirational story. The fact is that Miss Lacey has a lot to be proud of. As a matter of fact, I have a feeling she's going to inspire countless numbers of people with this, as well as I'm sure that she'll have more things down the road. But I think that this book and her testimony about her son is going to light up a lot of flames and get the ball rolling on research for this, as well as it's going to inspire people to know that you can't just say, hey, I'm going to not bring in my child because of what might happen. With God, all things are possible. As a matter of fact, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. That's should be a line that everybody needs to take a hold of.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Ed, you said something, and I wanted to say something after you said that, but Espenlaub's brain cell, his one-half brain cell just went dim. But it might come back to me, and it might not. Sheq, you're also starting a book publishing company, right? Or you've already started it?
I've already started it. It's called Inspiring Dreams Publishing. And I did dreams with a J because I wanted it to look different than just DREAMS. And Jakob stands for with the J. And honestly, again, for me, it's really about being able to help people that are like me, people that are from where I'm from. And I mean, I want to help everybody, but I know when you are in certain situations, I even started a nonprofit before I was pregnant called Forever DC and it was literally just for the Linden area. It was about our youth and bringing opportunities to them that they may have not been able to reach without seeing. So for me, I want to be that vessel for my people. And that's what Inspiring Dreams is for. I've already had people reach out, and somebody that I went to Linden with reached out. So yeah, I'm here to help everybody and to show people if you put in the work that you want to put in and you pray about it and you believe it, you can get it. All you have to do, you can't pray without the work. If you want something and you're asking God to help you, make sure you're doing the work. He's not going to do it all. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, you got to put legs to your prayers. Faith without works is dead. So it's not enough just to pray. You got to put some legs to that. You got to put your shoulder to the wheel and push on. Wow. Ed, this is a tremendous young lady.
Yep. She's making a lot of people proud.
There is her address, her telephone number, her email, her Instagram handle, and what a tremendous, inspiring story. Lacey, we need to get you out there where this can be heard by everyone.
That's the prayer. That's what I'm hoping.
Well, Mr. Temple and myself, some other folks will get behind you and we'll push you up, lift you up, and see how far we can get you out there. My goodness. I was going to ask you something, but that thing went dim. So once that half brain cell goes dim, I can do nothing about it until it fires up. It does fire up again. I just don't know when it's going to kick in. You know what I'm saying? It has been a tremendous time. Ed, your final thoughts.
Just buy the book. Get on there, jacobyandme book.com. Get on there, purchase the book, and share it. Do reviews. Get the word out there for your sake as well as for the country's sake. We need a good story and a good reason to value each and every day as if it's our last day, because if we don't, we take things for granted and then we live in regret. That she has a great testimony.
You said that Jacoby, he likes to watch things like Netflix and stuff. Does his little eyes light up when he sees stuff like that?
Yeah, it's called Motown Magic, and they just sing a bunch of Motown songs, and he just loves it. I don't know, like it excites him. He can cry, and as soon as you cut his show on, he stops.
Wow. So he knows exactly what's going on.
Oh yeah, he knows exactly what's going on. Maybe next time we can have him on here and he can show y'all his personality, because he has a lot.
Oh, that would be tremendous. That would be tremendous. And we need to get Big Brother on there too.
Yes. Yes.
Because he's a prince. He's a prince. So when we have you back, let's plan on doing that and bringing the whole gang on.
Sounds good.
I think that'll be tremendous. Sheq, I thank you. I thank you. You have lifted me up. You have made my day, and I'm sure that you have inspired many, many other people, not only here, but around the world with your testimony and your stand and what you're doing. I tip my hat to you, young lady.
Thank you.
And I can see why Mr. Temple is all warm and fuzzy on the inside. And so very, very proud of you. My goodness.
Thank you.
Well, Professor, when you was telling me about this young lady, wow, you certainly were spot on. And I got to commend you. I call Ed the professor, but I have to commend you because knowing you as long as I have now, you never cease to amaze me. Of course, I guess Mrs. Temple could tell me exactly what that means. But anyhow, you never cease to amaze me. Your compassion, your fortitude, how you care about students and people that sit under your teachings, it's quite commendable. And I have the highest respect. And I love you, brother.
I appreciate it. And I didn't even pay you to say that.
No, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Ed and I told you this, Sheq, on the phone. Ed and I, we talk, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day on the telephone. And if we're not talking, we're texting each other. He's become a very, very best friend. And I'm so happy that he's happy, that you're happy, that everybody's happy. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, we're all happy.
That's right. We're all happy. Oh, my goodness. Listen, we're going to have you come back. We're going to push you out there. And God bless you. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, get a hold of the horns of those altars and you pray around this nation, around the world, because I just know that God is bigger than anything that we would ever face.
Yes, amen.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
You've been a blessing.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Mr. Temple.
You're welcome. I hope continued success, and I look forward to hearing what Neil has in store for you, whatever you guys are going to be getting going, and we're going to. George and I are glad to help promote you.
All right. Thank you. You both have a great day.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Wow. What a tremendous, tremendous testimony, inspiration. Ed, that just gives me goosebumps. I'll have goosebumps the rest of the day.
Well, it's about time.
That's another thing I like about you. You always keep me laughing.
Well, I mean, at least you're getting tingly feelings without Joe Biden, in your ear.
I'm getting more tingly feelings than Joe Biden gets. But anyhow, let's do this for just a few minutes. Let me run this up here because and you tell everybody about these articles that you're writing, who you're writing them for, and all that good stuff. So there is the articles that Mr. Ed Temple writes.
Yeah, that's one of the site I literally put the draft form, I should say, because when they end up on Zenith News, which is zenith.news, and then you click on Z News, when they end up there, they are the editor, my editor. I'm an editor, but my final edit comes from Chuck at our site, and Chuck is the founder, and he cleans it up and makes it actually far better because he's a far better writer than I am. But those are articles that are easily available on Newsbreak, and they're not mainstream media articles, but I do the research, put the work in, and they're good articles. I think at least they are in terms of you're going to learn something every time you read one because it takes me a long time to do the research on them. So I appreciate it if you pop on there and check out some of these articles. And you can also, like I said, for the most part, not all of them, but most of them are on zenith.news. So hopefully you'll start reading those and get a little bit more informed of things that you're not going to find on the mainstream media, which is part of what Zenith News is about. It's about basically it's an alternative way to get your information that's not just, from your local, basically where 90% of all the media comes from are just about 5 different companies. And so if you really want to get some information outside the box, you have to go to sites like zenith.news, and it has a whole bunch of opportunities to get information that are not ideologically driven from the mainstream news, mainstream media. Did you like any of those articles, George?
I liked every one of them.
Now, I thought you weren't politically correct.
Oh my! Listen, there are some things, and this is what I like about it. I like to read articles that will make you think. Period. Make you think. You're not following the herd. You're not going with the multitudes. Somebody's challenging you to think. And eventually here soon, we're going to be doing a show about an article that I wrote and tie in with an article that Ed wrote. And it ought to be quite interesting. But I like them all, Ed. I like them all.
You're just saying that, George.
No, I'm not. Look, you paid me $20 to say that.
Okay, well, at least we're getting some honesty now. Hey, can you throw up this site that I just put on there?
I sure can.
Okay, so everybody can see that. That's Zenith News, and then if you go over here, and I'll where's it at? Okay, so there's Zenith News. If you go over here to Z News. Okay. If you go over here to Z News, you'll see a lot of the articles that I've done. Okay. Wow, my new article's up there.
Yeah.
So there you go. Offensive bio warfare or a series of coincidences. That was just posted. So that's my article that's on Newsweek, Newsbreak. But believe me, it's been cleaned up and it's a lot better work. So matter of fact, I'll go back on Newsbreak and I'll delete the article and put this one on instead because this will be a much better version.
Wow.
So that's where you can find some of them. I have a bunch of them on here. Not all these are mine, but let me tell you something. These other writers that are on Zenith News, they're very good writers. As a matter of fact, this is one of Chuck's articles here, very good about the COVID-19. And then also, he has a guy that's similar to Paul Harvey, so you can read some of his articles, but some of these are his. I have some of these articles. Matter of fact, I probably have about, 10 or 11 of them on there. But you can go through the articles, and they're very good, and they're like I said, they'll give you things that you won't hear on your regular news sites. So it's good information. More people need to know about it. The site is such a big hit right now that they've had to get somebody from South Korea to redo the site because it's crashing the system. So many people are getting on.
Wow.
So it's doing very well.
That's what, zenith.news.
That's correct.
Zenith.
And then once you get on zenith.news, if you want to read the articles written by Zenith News, then you just go to Z News. If you want to check out world news other than what we have on there, you can go on there, and you can even go to dashboard and literally start. You can sign up on the website and start. You can try to post articles, and if they're good enough, we'll go through it and we'll post them. But also, you can decide what news you want. You can go on here and it'll send you emails if you want of the most up to date news and so on and so forth. So, pretty cool site.
Pretty cool site. I say that it's a site for thinkers.
Oh yeah.
And
that is the truth.
And we sure do need some thinkers in this day and age. Ed, it's been a delight, like always. And I'm sure we're going to talk again throughout the day. By the way, text, telephone, whatever.
Okay.
You got anything? You got anything going live today?
No, I have to get on with my colleagues tomorrow, and actually, I think tomorrow I'm supposed to get on. I believe with Zenith News on. I think I don't know if we're going Twitter or if we're going to go Facebook Live, but either way, it'll show on both one way or another.
Okay, and you're also doing classes online with students, right?
That's correct. Yep, I have a YouTube channel. I have a few YouTubes we've done. Some of the kids don't want to do it where I record it, so we just do it without recording. But yeah, we have a few videos already up on the YouTube channel.
Yeah, and I watched some of them, and I'm telling you what, the professor, he does all that math stuff and calculus and all them other things. I mean, he was stretching, straining my 1/2 brain cell at times.
I wonder why I didn't fire today.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still having the after effects from the last one I watched, but it's tremendous. So, ladies and gentlemen, when he goes, if it's live, tune in. Test your skills. See if you still got it. There's some things I never got, but nonetheless. Ed, thank you, buddy.
You're welcome.
We'll be in touch. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, thank you. Start those watch parties. Get them out there into your news stream and spread the word. What an inspirational show this was today with Sheq Lacey. So from now until next time, from all of us here at the Funny Farm and my good friend Ed Temple, you have a very pleasant day. If it's nighttime, have a very pleasant night. Wherever you're at, whatever time it is, be kind one to another. Don't ever be afraid to say that I love you. It could possibly save a life. So until then, I trust that God will keep you right in the center of his hand. Goodbye, everybody. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Jacoby and me. I hope that it was just as inspiring to you as it is to me. Not only yesterday, but today, and I think about it. I'll be thinking about it for days to come. Awesome. Go to Jakobi. That's JOKOBI. JakobiandMe.com. JakobiandMe.com. sheq.com. And you can check it all out. All of Sheq's information is on there. You can purchase her book there. She's going to start that publishing company, or she already has. So look for this young lady. She's going places. She's going to do things. She's going to inspire. And she is going to challenge other people to do the same. I hope that you enjoyed this tonight. And I thank you for taking the time to tune in. But listen, don't go away, because right after our show is over, which will be shortly, we're going to take a commercial break, and then the news, and then we're going to take you to the Daren Streblow Comedy Show. I know that it'll bring a laugh to you at least once. It's enlightening, it's fun, and I hope that you stay tuned with us. Don't go away. When we're all done, which is just about now, we will bring you the news, a quick commercial, and the Daren Streblow Comedy Show. So stay and hang in there with us. Wow. It's been a delightful day, although I've had problems trying to remember what day it is. All the days seem to be running together lately. But nonetheless, it's Thursday evening now, right? Yes, it's a little after 9 p.m. here on the East Coast. Thank you for taking the time to tune in with me tonight. Remember, you can go back and listen to all the previous episodes that we have ever done. You can download them, distribute them, do with them what you want. I hope that you'll take the time to pass this on to your friends, your family, your neighbors, anyone else. Tell them the George Espenlaub Show goes live from the Funny Farm in a place called Our World. So whether you're down the street, around the corner, across America, or somewhere around this great big world, for me and all the gang here at the Funny Farm, we thank you for taking the time to tune in. I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. There's many, many more to come. Remember, we'll get through this. Take care of one another. Love one another. And don't ever be afraid to say, I love you. I'm telling you, it could possibly save a life. Be an encouragement. Be an uplifter. We need those type of people in this day in which we live. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, and countrymen, if it's daytime where you are, have a very pleasant day. If it's nighttime, have a very great night. But regardless of where you are and what time it is, until next time, I trust and pray that God will keep you right in the center of His hand. Remember, stay tuned. Right after the news and a quick commercial, Daren Streblow Comedy Show will be with us. So hang in there. Thank you for tuning in.
This is American Family News. I'm Steve Jordahl. Passengers aboard 2 cruise ships that have had coronavirus cases and deaths have been given the green light to disembark at a Florida port. Broward County Commissioner Michael Udine said Thursday that an agreement had been reached between local, state, and federal officials and Carnival Corporation, which owns the Zaandam and the Rotterdam. The two ships are docked in Port Everglades. The cruise line Holland America is operating the ships. Holland America says 45 passengers who are mildly sick will stay on board until they recover, but that 10 people in more serious condition are to be taken to a Fort Lauderdale hospital for immediate medical care. The surge on hospitals in New York City is changing emergency protocols. Fox's David Lee Miller has more from the Big Apple.
In his daily briefing, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo said based on what he called the current burn rate, the state only has a 6-day supply of ventilators. The governor also put out an urgent call for New York businesses to manufacture gloves, gowns, and other personal protection equipment. With the healthcare system overwhelmed, New York City ambulance crews have been told not to bring people suffering cardiac arrest to hospitals if the patient's heart can't be restarted on the scene. A memo to EMTs from an umbrella group that coordinates emergency services said in part, emergency departments are severely overcrowded and transporting patients pronounced dead on the scene only increases ED workload and potentially exposes ED staff and patients to COVID-19. In New York, David Lee Miller, Fox News.
A Florida man has stepped forward at an abortion clinic because the governor's orders are not being followed. AFN's Charlie Butts has the story.
Ex-Marine Chris Dosov of Pensacola, Florida, became concerned knowing an edict had been issued ordering elimination of non-essential surgeries. In response, he parked his vehicle to block traffic into American Family Planning, a local abortion vendor, and he spoke to pro-life counselors at the scene.
I've taken the liberty to block its entrance with my vehicle so that they will comply with Governor DeSantis' orders that requires non-essential medical procedures be off limits until the coronavirus outbreak has been controlled. And in addition to that, Executive Order number 2082 that demands that people coming in from Louisiana be quarantined for 14 days.
Louisiana has seen a dramatic uptick in coronavirus diagnoses. Police asked customers to park elsewhere and walk to the clinic to abort their children, and pro-life counselors discovered many of the vehicles bore Louisiana license plates. But the governor's order was not being enforced. Another thought.
We suspect that maybe some of the doctors providing those services here in this building are from out of town, particularly from New York, and they also should be quarantined for 14 days.
Operation Rescue did some checking and discovered the clinic is owned by Stephen Chase Brigham, who has lost his medical license in a half-dozen states. And Florida is one of them. I'm Charlie Butts.
There are new concerns. Some small businesses will miss out on federal loan programs intended to help mom and pops survive. Fox's Jared Halpern has more.
Included in the $2 trillion economic rescue bill is a nearly $350 billion loan program to help small businesses make payroll during stay-at-home orders and non-essential business closures. But far more than small retailers will qualify, including hotel and restaurant chains operating as franchises. Such large demand means the $350 billion fund could be exhausted in short order once applications open Friday. The program gives businesses access to loans of more than twice their monthly payroll and are fully or partially forgiven if the money is used to retain or rehire employees through June. Jared Halpern, Fox News.
More than 6.6 million Americans applied for unemployment benefits last week, doubling a record high set just 1 week earlier. A sign layoffs are accelerating in the midst of the coronavirus, but despite the massive unemployment numbers, the markets were in a good mood on Thursday. That after oil-producing nations agreed to end glutting the world with crude. The Dow gained 470 points, the Nasdaq gave investors 127, and the S&P 500 rose 56.5 points. For American Family News, I'm Steve Jordahl.
Hello, everyone. This is Claudio Relsano. Tune into my show, The Claudio Relsano Show, where I will be interviewing sports legends of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, as well as talking sports with some old friends. You can hear us on ClaudioRelsano.com. That's ClaudioReilsono.com. And now at 4 p.m. on Fridays and 9 a.m. on Mondays at the George Espenlaub Show on Facebook.
Daren Streblow's Comedy Show. Live on the radio. It's Daren Streblow's Comedy Show. Live on the radio. Bringing you the funny from every nook and cranny. Sprinkling some crazy. The man, the myth, the legendary champion of something. It's Daren Streblow's Comedy Show. Live on the radio. It's Daren Streblow's Comedy Show. Live on the radio. So lock dial on this comedy file. Darren's your host from coast to coast. He's hilarious. The Daren Streblow Comedy Show. Yeah.
Welcome back, my friend. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. I hope you're hanging in there. I hope you're hunkered down, healthy and safe. I hope your children aren't so bored that they're destroying your house. We've come close a couple times over here. One of my boys got so bored he took, those exercise mats that have the jigsaw edges on it so you can kind of piece them together. Well, he pieced together a cube, like a big cube, big enough where he got inside the cube. Yeah, and he was in there quite a long time, and I was getting worried about him. I'm like, what are you doing inside that cube? And he's like, I'm doing my homework. I said, I want you to think outside of the box. And nobody thought that was funny. I thought that was funny. I am so unappreciated here in my own home. But you'll appreciate these comedians coming up. We're going to hear from Jason Love, Thor Ramsey, Carlos Oscar, Joby Sad, Scott Gregory, and a conversation with the amazing Bob Stromberg. It's all coming up right here on the Daren Streblow Comedy Show. To get us started, from the Bananas television program, here's Isaac Whitty.
I'll never forget my first job when I was 16 years old. I worked at the produce department of the grocery store. My first day clocking out, the guy from the bakery comes over and he says, Isaac, my wife is in the hospital and she's in labor, but I'm scheduled to work here till midnight. Can you fill in for me? And I said, man, I don't know how to do your job. And he said, it's easy. Just hold her hand and tell her to breathe and push a lot. It was a boy. I was briefly homeschooled as a kid. Yeah. I went back to public school, though. Yeah. I decided that I like public school more because in public school, when you get the answer wrong, the teacher doesn't cry because her son is stupid. I'm not very smart. I'm like not smart to the point where I can't even have smart people in my dreams. Like, because the characters in your dreams can only be as intelligent as their creator. Even when I have like a doctor or lawyer or scientist in my dream, he's not even smart, He just way overuses the word indubitably. All the other people in my dream are like, man, that guy's smart. I'm not dumb. I shouldn't say I'm dumb, but I have been known to lose Connect 4 in 4 moves. Yeah, my mom always tried to make birthday special for me when I was a kid. Like one year, she put a life-size inflatable clown in my room. Yeah, to be neat when I woke up. Now, let me just tell you guys, you don't know fear. Till you wake up in the middle of the night to use the restroom. And there in the darkness is what appears to be man in a clown outfit watching you while you sleep. My knees buckled immediately. Out of fear. What made even more scary is that he didn't even move. He just stayed focused. Happy birthday. That's probably what he'd say. I don't know. I'm not crazy. Actually, my friend said that I'm crazy because I talk to myself. And you know what? That's stupid because I talk to other people. If they don't show up to listen, that's not my fault. Remember back in middle school, like when the gym teacher used to say, all right, everybody, get into groups of 2. Then everybody do it. That's how some people, they can't find a partner, right? So they got to settle for whoever's left. I think that's how I'm going to get married. Here's your soulmate. Yeah, she's equally disappointed. I'm not that aggressive with the ladies. Yeah, my idea of hitting on someone is staring a little bit too long. Sometimes I get caught staring, and that's always embarrassing, but I found a way out. Yeah, now when I get caught staring, I immediately start staring at someone else. It's as if to say, you're nothing special. I do this to everybody.
You know the thing that the Alexa understands? That hears you pretty well. Does anyone have the Echo? Nobody? Santa Barbara? Nobody at Santa Barbara has an Echo? You guys do? You use it? You know, they used that thing to convict a person because it placed them at the scene of the crime. I don't know if you read about that. Because it's always listening. Yeah. I don't know. If it's going to be listening anyway, I think we should be able to use it for, like, you know, little household arguments. Like, oh, is that what you think I said? Mm-hmm. Alexa, roll the tape. Right? She'd probably be like, just acknowledge her feelings. You don't have to be right. I'm definitely the romantic one in our relationship. I'm always like pitching the picnics and like I'll write her a poem or sometimes. They're not good, but I try. Yeah, and I think the universe is trying to correct itself because she's turning more into the dude. Like sometimes I'll say something too sweet and she'll go, psh, give me a break. Shames me. There was a night I went through the whole trouble. I put together a bath with a little Enya and the candles and everything. Yeah, Patty was out of town, so my big chance, you know. Get it in there. Yeah, so you have children? You have how many children do you have? 2 children. See, that's very reasonable. My sister, 5. Yeah, she can't really handle them all. She sends me pictures of them running around, and then I send her pictures of me sleeping in. Yeah, we got a dog to feel, you know, more secure and, you know, just comfortable at home. But by the time we were done, we didn't get the big, you know, Doberman Pinscher or something. We got a little yippy dog. He's a Scottish Terrier. So he doesn't enforce the rules. He's more observe and report. He's like a mall cop. And half the time, it's about his own shadow. I can't shake him, Captain. Star Trek, thank you. Yeah, so we had to put in a dog door and didn't have the tools, didn't have a hammer. And I broke the flappy thing, the little rubber, yeah. So, yeah, we just let it be a little hole in the wall. A few days later, we have a rat. 2 pets. Not keeping the rat. Creepiest thing I think I've ever seen. Have you ever turned on the light and you just see the tail go around the refrigerator? Yeah. You should have heard the scream in our house that day. Patty's like, what's going on down there?
Jason Love. Go Ramsey's coming up on the Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Do you know the difference between a fact and a theory? Well, don't feel bad if you don't, because many deep-time scientists have also mixed up those two terms, as you'll discover on today's Creation Moment. And now, our Creation Moments host, Paul Taylor.
A recent article about Jupiter was a textbook lesson in how deep-time scientists confuse fact and theory, science and supposition. The article on the Popular Science Daily website began like this. The giant planet Jupiter was formed 4 times further from the Sun than its current orbit, and migrated inwards in the solar system over a period of 700,000 years. The writer seems very definite about his facts, but the question that should be occurring to creationists is this. What makes him think that Jupiter was formed 4 times further away from the Sun than it currently is? Astronomers have been fascinated by recent discoveries of exoplanets. The main purpose for their looking for exoplanets, planets orbiting stars other than our Sun, is their search for evolved life elsewhere. But many of the earliest discovered exoplanets were gas giants like Jupiter. Yet instead of being far from their star like Jupiter, most of these were in close orbit to their star and were often labelled hot Jupiters. Previously, deep-time scientists thought they understood how gas giants like Jupiter must have formed. Therefore, these hot Jupiters must have formed far from their stars and moved inwards. That supposition is their proof. Finally, to make sure all their ideas fit together, they have to assume that Jupiter likewise is on a journey inwards to the Sun. Their theories are constantly adapted because they refuse to accept that God made these planets on day 4 of creation.
If you enjoyed today's broadcast, you'll be able to read thousands of radio transcriptions in our best-selling book series, Letting God Create Your Day. To find out more, visit us at creationmoments.com or call 1-800-42-BIBLE.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Highlight. Here's Jeff Allen.
And if you're looking for sympathy, don't call your parents up, because they have prayed long and hard that your children are acting just the way they're acting. My father would call me late at night just to laugh at me. Hey, tell me again how your boys washed the car with your Armani jacket. That's too bad. Hey, tell me how they love hitting rocks with your new set of irons, because they like the sparks. And tell me how your boys have lost every tool you've ever purchased. Hey, son, the doctor just told me 2 more grandkids, I get off a Prozac altogether.
Get more laughs in our free app at DarenStreblow.com.
Hey, I'm Season, and I'm a joy bringer, and I've got heaps of it to give away. In fact, the amount of joy I have to give away is endless. Why? Well, it's not my joy. It's Jesus's. Jesus is my joy. I often say my joy never changes because my Jesus never changes. And that's good news. Joy isn't circumstantial or rooted in our feelings. It's a buoyant sense of well-being because of who Jesus is and what he's done for us. It's cultivated by the presence of the Holy Spirit and drenched in the love of the Father. And joy is for you. I really want you to not only believe that, but to live in a fullness of joy. Beginning on April 14th, I want you to join me for a free 15-day Joybringer Challenge on Facebook. You can find out more by going to joybringerchallenge.com. The gospel of Jesus is good news. So let's live like it and bring that good news and joy everywhere we go. I'm Season, and I'm a joy bringer.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Order a protein wrap, and they know what you're talking about. The protein wrap, if you're not familiar with that is a cheeseburger without the bun, but they wrap it in the lettuce. Like an idiot, I've been putting my lettuce on top of the food. The key to health, wrap the lettuce around your food. And the lettuce acts like Frodo's cloak, and the food becomes invisible. Invisible food has no calories. It's a great plan. It seems to me sometimes there's no rhyme or reason to our health, because we all know somebody who's like 140 years old. They've been smoking since they were 9 weeks old, and talking to this elderly gentleman after a show one night, and I said, how come smoking hasn't affected your health? He actually said this to me. He goes, well, I didn't know it was bad for me. What? That's the key to health, ignorance? I mean, give me some hope. Give me something, man. Well, I wrap my cigarettes in lettuce. That's what I do. My wife and I went to join a fitness center, and that's the whole key to that story. We went to join. We got approached by this female bodybuilder, personal trainer lady whose body was wrong. Don't work out until your body is wrong, okay? She had her hair up in a little bun. I thought, turns out it was a muscle. You should not be able to flex your head. You can flex your head, you're doing something wrong. Yeah. I wrote a check for our membership fee and it bounced. And the guy at the fitness place goes, your check bounced. I'm like, well, it is a gym. You ever been overwhelmed by your financial situation? First night I ever met my wife, she goes, what's your dental plan? What's my dental plan? I've been doing stand-up comedy since 1987. Okay, my dental plan is just chew on the side that doesn't hurt. Okay, that's my dental plan. I don't know how to get out of debt. I told my wife we should have 8 kids, homeschool them, charge them tuition. That's a plan. That is a plan.
And then I love it when we drive, man. Right? Isn't that right, ladies? Because we drive perfect when you're not with us. Let me tell you that, ladies, right now. Yeah, oh, yes, we do. You exaggerate in the car. I never get into an almost accident when I'm alone. Only when she's with me. Only when she's with me, You ever been, guys, have you ever hit the brakes and you're cool? And you look at her. She had like the cell phone in her ear. What happened? The purse is wrapped around her neck. And they look, what? You're crazy. You drive like a madman. And my mother on the back, I told you. It's always something, man. And this is what I love, though, man. I like it when the ladies say, you wait too long to tell us when you're upset. That's for one thing. We ain't folding the towels right. You don't tell us right away. You wait 6 years to tell us, And then you blow up at us. And you say, what happened? You don't know how to, you don't know. I go, why didn't you just tell me? Why don't you ladies just tell us? This is what they say instead. Oh, this is classic. This is what they say. Why didn't you just tell me? And then here's the reply. I shouldn't have to. That's like honking the horn after the accident. It's too late now. You don't crash. This is how you women wait too long. You don't honk the horn after the accident. This is how you women would crash. Oh, he's going to hit me. Oh, he's going too fast. There he comes. The cop comes over. You got the airbag on your face, all over. And he says, why didn't you honk? I shouldn't have to. And there's stuff now that my wife now wants us to do is teach the little girls, our little girls. We gotta teach them Spanish. Because they need to know Spanish because to keep the tradition going. 3rd, 4th generation. Oh, come on, okay, I know some of you, we're in Los Angeles. A lot of people know Spanish, but come on. You've met people that last name Rodriguez, they don't know a lick of Spanish. You know that, right? You say, come on, you've seen that one person, you go, for sure, this guy knows Spanish. I mean, he looks hardcore Latino, like hardcore. He looks like George Lopez coming down the Inca Mountain, man. This dude looks hardcore. And you go ask him the time, yo, ¿qué hora es? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Josh, do you know what time it is? This guy's talking Spanish. You took Spanish, right? And then there's these accents. You know what's funny? Because my mom has a thick accent. You know, my dad, thick accent and stuff. And I don't, some accents are cool, man. Like an English accent, you always sound like you no matter what a person with that accent says, you believe them. You think, oh. Because everything sounds like it sounds so intellectual. You could be next to a kid, trying to cheat. Hey, what's number 3? 14 plus 14 is 152. And you go, that's right. Just gotta put 28, stupid. Because language is, let me tell you with that. And some accent vibes are weird. Like in New York, the kids with the Italian accent, they always sounded tough, man. Hey, Joey, can you answer number 3? I'm not answering nothing, okay? I'm not answering nothing. I was just in New York you gotta trip out on this. True, okay? I'm in New York about 6 weeks ago, and this little boy, about 4 years old, little Italian kid, I asked him, I kid you not, I said, hey, how you doing today? And he looks at me and says, I've been better. When? When you were 2? What? You've been better.
I bought these pants. They were like, they were like $10 off, and I took them up to the counter. I was about to pay for them. The manager comes up. He goes, wait a minute, those pants are not discounted. I go, the tag says $10 off. He goes, oh, well, anybody could have put that tag there. I'm not saying you did. Probably not the customer. I go, well, how do I know you're the manager? I mean, anybody could have put a name tag on that says manager. I'm not saying you did. Probably not the customer. One of those evil customers marking stuff down everywhere they go. We're slashing prices. Everything must go. Hey, do you work here? Don't work at Chicka. Everything must go. Well, he had no sense of humor. He just stared at me.
From the Bananas television program, Joey Sad. And before that, Carlos Oscar and Thor Ramsey. You can listen to this program again after it airs on the radio. Get it on our website, DarenStreblow.com, or get our free app for iPhone and Droid. Just type Daren and Comedy into your search bar. Bob Stromberg is coming up next.
Here's Rob West with a MoneyWise Minute.
Train a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not turn from it. Wise words from Proverbs 22. But train them in what exactly? Sharing the gospel with your children comes first, but then teaching them to manage money wisely according to God's financial principles will deepen their relationship with the Lord. Teach them to earn money by working. If you give an allowance, attach regular chores to it, like making their bed or helping with the dishes. If they don't complete a chore, calmly tell them their allowance is withheld until they complete the task. As they earn money, help them set up a budget for tithing, saving, and spending. Train your children to do those things, and you'll spare them a lifetime of financial turmoil.
Hey, need some help getting started with this? Well, connect with a MoneyWise coach at our website, which is moneywise.org, moneywise.org.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Highlight. Here's Jeff Allen.
They hit their teen years, and they get quiet when they're teenagers. They do this a lot. They have a 3-word vocabulary, which about covers their whole life. Is a word. Did you study for that history test? You gonna pass it? Another one is, oh, you can't spend the night at your friend's house. You flunked the history test.
There's more laughs for you in our free app at DarenStreblow.com.
Here's a Renewing Your Mind Minute with Dr. R.C. Sproul.
We never know who we are until we first know who God is. Again, remember in Isaiah 6, after Isaiah saw God high and holy and lifted up and heard the angelic chorus of the 3 times holy, what was his response? He pronounced a curse upon himself, saying, "Woe is me, for I'm a man of unclean lips, and I'm not alone. I dwell in the midst of a people of unclean lips," because for the first time in his life, dear ones, Isaiah found out who God was. And at the same time, for the first time in his life, he found out who Isaiah was.
For today's special offer, visit renewingyourmind.org.
We live in some dark times, and a lot of that darkness is in our mind and what we think on. So the best way to resist and overcome the power of the enemy and those dark thoughts is to think on what is true and the light. One of the favorite verses that I've memorized is Ephesians 3:16, and it says, "God grant me, out of the rich treasury of your glory, to be strengthened and reinforced with mighty power by the Holy Spirit himself indwelling in my innermost being and personality." And when I think of that verse, I think of it as a sign me up verse. Because wouldn't you want the Holy Spirit indwelling in your innermost being and personality and thinking of what he can do with his light, with his goodness, and not the dark and destructive thoughts that the enemy puts in there? We make choices on what we think on. Choose what is good, choose the truth every day. For more encouragement in Everyday Matters, visit DebbieGriffith.com.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
And on the phone with me, a dear friend, a fantastic comedian, and one of a kind, Bob Stromberg. Welcome back to the show, my friend. How you doing?
Thank you so much, Daren Streblow. I would say Daren Streblow, the funniest man in Minnesota, but I live here, so that's. I would say Daren
What, did you
Streblow,
move or something? I'm thrilled.
Daren Streblow, the funniest man in Cloquet.
Yeah, that works. That works. Although I've met a lot of guys here that they're a lot funnier than me. They're just not willing to go on stage. That's the deal. So anyway,
I'm guessing that's the truth with all of us. You know, I've always said, no matter how good you are, there's 1,000 people better somewhere.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
And
That's the truth.
It's depressing when it's in your cul-de-sac. You know, it's it's a little bit sad. How you doing?
Yeah.
I'm glad to interrupt you during this busy time of touring and going out and meeting people and shaking hands to
Daren,
get you on the show.
I bet I have 10 times a day for the last 2 weeks uttered the word crazy.
Yeah.
This is crazy. This is just crazy, especially for people like you and I who make our livelihood and derive so much joy from being in front of large groups of people.
Yes.
And we can't do it. What a strange thing. And even here's the deal. You know, I remember 9/11, and before 9/11, and a lot of people listening to the show don't even remember this, but you would walk into the airport, throw the bag on the belt 15 minutes before your flight, and just walk to your gate. You would just walk there, and then you'd walk right on the plane. They weren't locking anything. It was so easy. And I remember then after 9/11, we had to go through security, and I remember thinking, oh, my goodness, this is terrible. Is this forever? Well, of course it is, but we've gotten completely used to it.
Yeah, right.
That got me thinking, what's going to happen, Daren, when this is, quote, over? It's never going to be over. It's a different deal. I think life is going to be somewhat different, if only for the fact that I think it's going to be unacceptable to ever cough anywhere again. You know, this is sorry.
You know, you clear your throat, just and then everyone scatters. No. Yeah,
you're not getting on this flight, buddy. You know, think think about the fact that we used to see this even 2 months ago. If you're walking through a big airport, you might see 2 or 3 people with a mask on. Usually, they were visiting from Asia. I'm just recognizing that as a fact.
Right.
Yeah, but you'd look at these people and go, "Oh, look how strange they have a mask on." We're not going to say how strange anymore.
No.
It's going to be very normal, which concerns me about our profession. What is it going to be like for you and me to be doing comedy for people in the theater seated 6 feet apart with masks on? That's going to be very, very strange. It's hard to read people's faces, let alone the fact that for a comic like me, who is very, very facial, I've been practicing, but it's really hard with that mask on. I don't know how it's going to read. I've also noticed that my headset mic, this wouldn't be a problem for you to use a handheld, but I use a headset, and it keeps rubbing up against the mask right there on the edge, So, I don't know. We'll see, won't we?
I knew something was up because I did a show about a week before the quarantine started, and everyone seemed fine, except there was a giant sneeze guard between me and the audience, and I thought maybe they weren't trusting me very well. But, yeah.
You talk about the week before the quarantine. The week before all of this broke, actually, this was the last weekend in February, was my last solo booking. I did my theater show a couple times since then, just on the edge of the quarantine. But the last week of February, I was in Bismarck, North Dakota for a men's conference, and I had a late night performance there. Got done about midnight. Went to my hotel. You know the drill.
Yeah.
Get up at 5 in the morning. Throw my clothes on. I drive to the Bismarck airport. I park my rental car in the return lot. Grab my bags. Lock the car door. Walk 100 yards. It's 8 degrees, but it's blowing really hard. I walk to the Enterprise rental car counter. Of course, there's nobody there at this time of the day. It's 2 hours before my flight. I like to play things safe in case something happens.
Yeah.
I drop my keys, the 2 car keys. You always get 2 in case you lose one. Then if you lose them, then you have more to. They can charge you for more. I drop my 2 key fobs in the box. With the sound of the 2 heavy key fobs landing in the bottom of the box, I realized I had locked my phone back in the car.
Oh, no.
Sitting on the dash, yeah. Now, it's inconvenient for anyone to lose their cell phone.
Right.
I mean, we've all become so dependent on them. So dependent that how often, if you ever experience this, I'll often feel my phone vibrating in my front pocket, only to realize it's not there. I mean, that's the truth. It's an actual condition. So it's always inconvenient. But for those of us who are on the road, Daren, you know this. That phone is so important. I know I'm flying to Baltimore because my ticket says that, but I don't know. I don't know where I'm going from there. I don't know what the group is. I don't know the town. I don't know the venue. I don't know the time for my sound check. I don't know where my hotel is. I don't know when I'm flying back the next morning. So I'm walking. I realize in retrospect that I was pretty much at this point just walking in circles. There's nobody there except me and a couple Delta agents another 50 yards down the way.
Yeah.
And I'm just walking in circles going, oh no, what am I going to do? And then I think, oh, well, I can call my agent. And then I go, well, no, I can't call my agent. I don't have my cell phone. So I went to the Delta counter. I checked in my bag, and I said to the agent there, very nice lady, young lady, I explained the situation, and she said, oh, no. I said, what time are they coming in at Enterprise? And she said, they're not coming in till 10:30.
10:30.
We don't have a flight coming in till 10 o'clock. They won't even be here till 10:30. My flight, it's about 10 to 6 now, maybe getting closer to 6. And my flight is at 7:30, so I've got plenty of time. She said, "Here, take my phone, call Enterprise, see if they can find a manager. They could dig up the manager's name in this area. The manager, it's a small town. They'll be able to get over here to open up the lockbox for you." So I call Enterprise. I have to go through all these, hit all these buttons to get to the right place. And then they say, I hear the message saying this may be recorded for training purposes. And then they give me a wonderful assortment of one song to listen to for the next Listen, 26 minutes.
No.
I'm listening. Now I'm starting to freak out. Now I'm it's 20 after 6. My flight is in an hour and 10 minutes. It's going to be 40 in 40 minutes. So I took her phone and I turned the video camera on and flipped it. You know how you do this? You can flip the lens. So now I can see what's on the screen in front of me.
Yeah.
And I slid the end of the phone into the top of the lockbox. And when I threw it in there, the light came on because apparently it's dark inside. I don't know much about but apparently it's dark in there. And the light came on. There are my keys, the 2 fobs sitting all by themselves, with the ring that holds them together sticking right up in the air, not 4 inches away. And I realized I all I need is a coat hanger. That's it. If I have a coat hanger, I can pull those out of there with ease. It'll be simple, and I'll have my phone again. Everything will be well. And I went back to the counter, walked another 60 yards back to the counter. I said, all I need is a coat hanger. I just need a coat hanger. Well, they're the only ones there now. That's it. Delta's the only airlines, and they are looking. These 2 people, this agent and the other, they're looking for a coat hanger. They come out, no coat hangers. I said, wire. I need some wire. We don't have any wire. And then people start to come in. I'm thinking somebody's got a coat hanger. Would you have a coat hanger? Would you have a coat? I'm asking people coming into the desk, do you have a coat hanger?
So your cell phone is locked in your rental car. Your key fobs are in a lockbox. No access to a manager. No access to a coat hanger or any sort of wire. Your flight's coming up. This is kind of the cliffhanger, and I'm up against a break, and I'm wondering, Bob, if you actually made it out of the airport or if you're still there. So would you be able to hang around until after the break?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent. More Bob Stromberg coming up, as well as the stand-up comedy of Scott Gregory. If you're looking for something to do with your family during this downtime, great new video game just put out by my son, Evan Streblow, Color Soul Memories. There's more information at our website, DarenStreblow.com. And more Bob Stromberg coming up.
Are we there yet?
From Keys for Kids Ministries, here's Greg Yoder with a Keys for Kids Parent Minute.
I love this. Whenever my kids would ask the question on a long trip, I'd say, guys, we're never there. We're always here. Think about it. They'd smile sometimes and try to argue the fact that, well, we'll be there sometime because we'll see Grandma and Grandpa and they're there. Some of my favorite childhood memories, though, are with my family traveling from state to state. My mom would read us books about the place that we were going, or we'd play the alphabet game, trying to find signs that match letters of the alphabet in order, or slug bug. While we're tempted to give our kids a mobile device, limit their time on it. Have some fun. Play games, sing, read the Keys for Kids devotional maybe, or listen to a Down Gilead Lane audio drama. You can find them on our store. It could be life-changing.
To learn more, visit parentminute.org.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Highlight. Here's comedian Jeff Allen talking about his favorite teenage phrases.
My favorite, whatever. Whatever. I believe teenagers are God's revenge on mankind. I really do. I think one day God looked down over his creation and just said to himself, hey, let's see how they like it to create someone of their own image who denies their existence. Because I've looked through the Bible. It never mentions how old the devil was when he finally rejected God's authority. If I'm guessing, 16.
We've got more laughs for you in our free app over at DarenStreblow.com.
Here's Rob West with a MoneyWise Minute. Annuities win the prize for most confusing investment. Even people who have annuities often don't understand them. They fall into 2 categories based on when you start receiving payments. An immediate annuity begins paying as soon as you make the investment. A deferred annuity pays you after many years of contributions. Within those categories are 3 types. A fixed annuity guarantees a certain or fixed yield. An indexed annuity pegs your earnings to a market index. And a variable annuity pays you based on
funds you choose. No wonder people get confused. While annuities can provide a safe source of income, they also tie up your money and some have sizable fees. So find a trusted professional who isn't trying to sell you something.
Your money and your life belong to God. Learn to manage them both well when you visit moneywise.org. Write it down, moneywise.org.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Hey, welcome back. Bob Stromberg on the phone with us. He's telling us about his harrowing experience of locking his cell phone in his car and then dropping his key fobs into a lockbox. There's no manager there. There's no coat hangers available. He doesn't have access to wire. He's about to miss an important flight, and the only tool he has is a cell phone that he lended from an airline representative. So, Bob, what happened next?
So I take the cell phone. I go back to the box. I put the camera back in there again. The keys had not moved, which surprised me for some reason. I was thinking that surely they were trying to get out by themselves, but they weren't.
They had a sense of urgency, just like you did, of course.
I'm dying, and then I hear a voice behind me saying, "Sir, may I ask what you're doing?" I turn around. It's the sheriff. I said, "I'm trying to get my car keys out of the box." He said, "You're trying to get your car keys out of the box?" I said, "Yes." I said, "These are my car keys." I pulled my rental thing out of my coat. These keys are mine until 12:30 p.m. I rented this car. I accidentally, which is almost true, right? I didn't mean to put them in there at that moment. I explained the situation. He goes, "Well, you're not doing it that way." He said, I can call you a locksmith, which he did. He walks me out to the curb. I'm standing there by the curb. He said, "He'll be here in 5 minutes. It's getting real close to 7 now. My flight's leaving at 7:30. I'm in a panic. It's freezing out there. I am literally sweating. I'm sweating. And I watch the sheriff. He goes in, he stands back guard by the lockbox there. And then this red truck pulls up like he said it would. I throw one of my bags I have left. I throw it in the back of the truck. I climb up in the seat. I look. This kid's maybe 12, 14, certainly not old enough to have a permit or to have a permit to break into cars. But I couldn't believe it. I said, "How much is this going to cost?" He said, $75. I said, "Step on it," which he did. Apparently, he had a block of wood on the gas pedal there. He drove me to my car. He had a long pole with a bunch of twists in it that he could bend and stuff. He managed in about 5 minutes to finally get it in the car there. Now it's after 7. I am literally laying halfway on the windshield, trying to say a little bit to the left, a little bit to the left. I can see him putting the end of this little poker right on the thing to unlock the door, but it keeps slipping off and slipping off. And so now it's 7:12. I know this because it's displayed brightly on my cell phone 2 inches from my face. I looked, I turned my head, I could see my plane. I could see that space between the jetway and the plane. People are walking on. Oh. And I'm thinking, I'm not only not going to get my cell phone, I'm not going to get to my next booking. I mean, that's going to be even a worse loss. I could buy 5 cell phones for the money I'm going to lose now, So, I said, "Pull it out. I got to go." He said, "Well, you owe me $50." I said, "You didn't open the door." He said, "Well, it's $75 if I open the door. It's $50 for the call." I gave him my credit card. He punches in the number, and then he goes, "It got denied." I grabbed the credit card. I put it in my pocket. Then I took $24 I had in my pocket. I put it in his hand. I said, "I'm going." He said, "I'm calling the cops." I said, "There's no reason. He's right around the corner here by the lockbox. You can find him there." And I ran. Now, understand this. I have to run really about 100 yards to get to the terminal. I have to go up 2 flights of stairs. I have to go through TSA still. And I haven't sprinted. I mean, I have not been in a full-out sprint for 30 years. I'm sure of that, you know. I finally get into the plane. They held the agents, how sweet. They actually held the plane for me. Wow. I got on the plane. Long story short, I did get my phone. It took me 5 days to get it. Enterprise FedEx. They FedExed it to me with no charge. I mean, that's an awfully nice thing.
Yeah.
But here's the point. I got on the plane, and I'm sitting there I'm wet. I am exhausted. And I realized I didn't have a coat hanger. But what I had on my body, I had a ballpoint pen. I had a shoelace, and I had a paper clip. I could have reached in there with no trouble, Daren, and grabbed that thing with a ballpoint pen, a shoelace, and a paper clip. Without a doubt. There's no question in my mind.
Oh, no.
It made me so angry to think I didn't do that. But I realized I couldn't understand. I was so concerned with what I didn't have that I was unable to recognize what the good stuff that I did have.
Wow.
And as a result of that, in a time of crisis, which is what it was, I didn't recognize what I had. All I could see is what I lacked. And then a week later, we're in this crisis we're in right now, and not a day has gone by but what I haven't thought. I tend to want to focus on what I lack, but there's no reason to do that. That just causes trouble. Much better to focus on all the goodness that I have in my life, all the potential that is there. And so I try to do that every day.
That's beautiful. You have your family, you have your faith, you have hope.
Absolutely. Hope. And none of us are in this alone. That's the great thing to understand. We are not in this alone. We have each other. And for those of us who love God, we have God. We know that He's present with us in the air that we breathe. So what a great thing that is.
Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. I think that's what we all needed to hear right now. That's a beautiful story, my friend. Yeah. This is Bob Stromberg. He is the best. You can find him at his website, bobstromberg.com. And he's got an amazing creativity curriculum where you can learn how to be creative and bring it into your particular gifts and talents, your creativity. And you can find more information about that on your website, right, Bob?
Yes, Mastering the Craft of Creativity. You can't miss it there at bobstromberg.com.
It's beautiful. Yeah. Well, thanks, Bob, for being with us today.
Thank you, my friend.
Love having you on. It's always great to hear you. So take care, my friend.
Thanks so much.
Of course, I didn't just grow up in any place in Indiana. I grew up in central Indiana. Now, you must be aware of central Indiana because only one of two places in the entire United States that does not go to daylight savings. We're just stuck there. It's like we haven't passed the big time clock SAT. And they're afraid we might not get the hands back to where they once belonged. They're Hoosiers, leave them alone. We will do anything to cheat time, won't we? I mean, I got in this habit in class, like where you set the watch fast. Anybody set their watch fast? Yeah, 5, 10 minutes, whatever. I have gone up to 25 minutes before. But when you stop and think about it, the only problem with setting your clock fast is that all you end up doing is trying to figure out what time it really is. This becomes your entire consuming life. It's why we don't want to get up first thing in the morning, because the first thing you have to do is use subtraction. You're coming out of a deep sleep like, oh man, 603 minus 25 is snooze. See, here's the whole thing with setting the clock fast. This is what you need to be aware of. It's legal. It's like it's not against the law. You can do it. You can do it. It's not against the law. You can live in two different times, and it's perfectly fine. So I say go for it. Set your clock fast. The ideal time, 3 days. 3 days. Comes into play the very first Friday. You have your clock set fast 3 days. You work Friday, have the weekend off. Monday rolls around. You're off work Monday because you work Monday on Friday. Now, let's say the IRS calls you up. They want to come and audit you. Tell them to come and see you on Thursday. Well, Monday is Thursday to you, so when they don't show, you think they cancel. Well, of course, they come on Thursday, but you're not home Thursday because Thursday is Sunday to you, and right after church, you're at work making double time. Oh, yeah? But you don't take double time. What you do is take straight pay and ask for next Tuesday as a comp day. You work Friday, have the weekend off. Monday rolls around, you have to work Monday because you work Monday on Friday. Tuesday's your comp day. Wednesday and Thursday is your new Saturday and Sunday. You call in sick Friday, you have the entire week off.
That's from the Bananas television program, Scott Gregory on the Daren Streblow Comedy Show. Thanks to Scott for being on the program this week. And I'd like to thank the other comedians you heard this week as well. Isaac Whitty, Jason Love, Thor Ramsey, Carlos Oscar, Joby Sad, and Bob Stromberg. If you want to hear this program again after it airs on the radio, you can do it a couple different ways. First, you can go to our website, DarenStreblow.com, and listen on one of our magical widgets. Or, if you want something more portable, a little more modern, you can get our free app for iPhone and Droid. Go to your app store and type Daren and Comedy right in there, and you'll find it, the free app for the Daren Streblow Comedy Show. And that's going to do it for this week. We hope to see you again next week. Laughter's like a medicine, so join us every week for another big dose of comedy right here.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show. Executive producer Daren Streblow. A Streblow Comedy Inc. production.
Actually, my friend said that I'm crazy because I talk to myself. And you know what? That's stupid because I talk to other people. If they don't show up to listen, that's not my fault.
How many kids, when asked, would know what the golden rule is? Do you? Well, 2 of my 4 sons knew the answer. Treat others the way you want to be treated. We may know it, but do we live it? There are broken marriages, churches, friends fighting. There's brokenness. Taking this golden truth to heart is another matter. Jesus loves us. He really loves us as we are. And he says, I give you a new commandment. It is my commandment. It is all I command you. Love one another as I have loved you. Only compassion and forgiveness count. Love is the key to everything. And I think most times we treat others how we think they deserve to be treated. But think if Jesus did that with us and gave us what we deserved. I know, right? We'd be toast. Not only do my kids need to be reminded of this, I do too. Love one another every day. For more encouragement in Everyday Matters, visit DebbieGriffith.com.
Back to Genesis with Dr. John Morris, author and seminar speaker with the Institute for Creation Research. Dr. Morris, can you use ordinary things as a witness for creation?
You certainly can, Chris. In fact, you can use an automobile or an airplane or a radio station or most design systems to witness to the design and creation. If a radio station needs a designer, then certainly things much more complicated, like life, need a designer. If you know anything about geology, you can use the road cuts through mountains to witness the Noah's flood. You can see the strata, obviously laid down by moving water, and point out that these strata typically go for miles in every direction, maybe thousands of miles, speaking eloquently of widespread deposition due to water action. Yes, indeed, Chris. Creation and the flood are clearly seen from evidence all around us, and we can use them to witness to that back to Genesis truth.
To learn more about creation, get our free DVD called That's a Fact. Call us at 800-628-7640 and mention the promo code FACT.
The Daren Streblow Comedy Show.
Highlight. Here's comedian Jeff Allen.
Puberty, that's a whole other animal. I don't know about girls, I had boys. My oldest son, who's 28 years old now, he went through puberty at 11 years old in a half an hour. I am not kidding. I'm on the road, call home one night, he's 11, he picks up the phone, hey, man, how you doing, what's going on, what's happening? The next night I called home, that same kid picked up the phone. Hello. Hey, who are you, pal? Put my wife on the phone and get out of my house.
There's more laughs for you in our free app for iPhone and Droid over at DarenStreblow.com.
I'm slipping away, so don't let me go, nah, 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 nah. I'm all up in that love haze, so where do we go, nah, nah? Just let me know that I am safe here in your arms. I wanna stay.
stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. What goes up must come down. There's lots of friendly faces all around, and nothing's ever lifting me higher than a touch of your sweet desire. Well, we're all built in right. We just have to hold on through the night. As long as we are watching the fire, we'll be safe from the devil's choir. I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love you forever. We can make it together. Yeah, yeah. When things go wrong, it's easy to sing a sad song. Seems like nothing comes for free, yeah. And it won't take long. Your fragile soul will soon be strong. I'll carry you so tenderly. What I wanna say is that I stand by you when you're falling, when the river is calling. I said I love
Come on, horse. Slow down. Come on. This ain't funny no more. You're gonna hurt me. Come on, horse. Slow. Whoa. Somebody stop this horse. Where's the brakes? Oh my God, where's the brakes? Pops, I'm coming through. You gotta help me stop this horse. Somebody open that door. Help me. Oh, this isn't gonna be good. Whoa, horse. Whoa. Animal, you're gonna kill me. Get me off here.
Bouncy.
Well, Charlie, you sure did crack everybody up with that little caper, and you've got to admit that it was your own fault that you got severely damaged in the process, right?
Well, Pops, it's like this. It was the horse's fault. I said that before, and I stand on it now. It was the horse's fault. I'm just a little wiener dog, and that's a great big animal. And he fibbed to me. I've never been on a horse before, and he said he'd take me for a nice ride. Well, it wasn't such a nice ride. That's for sure. And he hurt me. I mean, he liked to hurt me, and he laughed at me. And one thing I'll tell you, Pups, I'll never trust another horse as long as I live, and I'll never get on another horse as long as I live. I'm telling you that right now. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right, Charlie. I hope you're back with me in the radio studio soon. You still look like you're a little bummed up, but I think you'll be back for the next show. And just if you want to go horseback riding, just let me know. We'll go. We can go this afternoon if you want to, Charlie. I'm just kidding. Thanks, Charlie.